Now we're all here. My name's JJ and I've got a treat for you today. You're joining me on Meon Shore, and that is in Hampshire, England, UK. And I've brought with me today a 6-pointed quartz crystal. And as I spin it in the sun, you can see all the inclusions and all the rainbow effects that's caught by the sunlight. And I think you agree, it's a fantastic piece. A piece like this is really worthwhile having in your collection. It sort of like governs all the other crystals around it, and it's quite a powerful piece to hold if you're sensitive to this sort of thing. But I've brought you down here today to talk about ley lines, and the thing is with Hampshire, it's an absolute amazing county, and obviously you can see behind me that's the Isle of Wight, and the stretch of water is called the Solent that separates the Isle of Wight from the mainland. But Hampshire itself is a very interesting county in its geology. So what we have is mainly chalk, and the river that runs right down through the middle of it, through the Meon Valley, is called the Meon, and that has lots of little sedimentary bits of chalk within the water, and as it goes over the waterfalls and the rapids, it glistens and shines. It's truly beautiful in places, and I hope to show you some of them in time. So the other thing I wanted to convey was the ley lines that go up through and across that river, up through the Meon Valley. And if you look at the UK from the south to the north, there's a ley line, and it's called the Spine of Albion. And there's another one that runs across, which we all know is Michael and Mary, and everybody's probably heard of that one. But when we look at the Spine of Albion, there's got a male and a female current. Now the male current is called Belinus, and that's to the east of the River Meon, and the female current, which is Ellen, is to the west. And as they go up through the country, they cross each other on what is called node points. And these node points is where they literally lay over each other and can be dowsed to say this is the point the two cross. Now, if you think of it on a three-dimensional plane, then it's a bit different. It's almost like a toroidal energy field that passes up through the country like a double helix, almost like the DNA. And it's interesting that they cross each other 33 times, a bit like the spine in our back, the vertebrae, as it goes up through the country. Now, what's also interesting is when we look down the beach, it certainly gives an ambience to the place. And I think the ambience is probably due to the ley lines. And I'm going to give you an example of what's sort of like embedded in this place. Is that if you looked in that direction over there, say the 10th of April 1912, you would have been able to wave goodbye or bon voyage to 2,220 souls as they left these very shores on the maiden voyage of the Titanic. So that gives you an idea of the sort of things that you might have been able to experience down there. And if I just go that way, well, got the sun, yeah, if you look towards the sun that way, and you go back to the 19th of July 1545, you'd have been able to witness the sinking of the Mary Rose, and that was Henry VIII's flagship. And and that sunk not too far from the shore, so if you was wambling about on the beach back then, you would have been able to hear all the shouts and screams of the people aboard. So it's like the echoes of these events, I think, are left in the energy field of the place. But getting back to the ley lines, so if you imagine a toroidal field right at the mouth of the River Meon as it tips into the Solent, right at that point between the two serpent energies, it would be like the vascular pieces of that energy field, and certainly worth sort of like visualizing in your third eye, your pineal gland. I think that would be a useful exercise to try and comprehend what's happening with these lines. But there's another reason I've brought you down here today, and that is these sarsen stones. And you'll find these things scattered all over the Albion, you know, in Hampshire and Wiltshire and Dorset. They're particularly prevalent, and I think what's interesting, in Neolithic times they would have used them in sort of like stone circles such as Stonehenge and Avebury Stone Ring, to name a couple of the famous ones. And I think they were used everywhere back then, not just sort of like the famous ones which have been left behind. These relics sort of like appear out of hedgerows and on the edge of rivers all over the show, especially up and through England. You know, there's more to this merry land than meets the eye. And but this particular one's very interesting to me because it's sort of like so big, and it's been left on this beach. There's a few more scattered about, some are under the water, and there was probably a load of small ones as well, but they've been robbed over the years by people wanting them for their gardens. And have heard of people coming down here with a wheelbarrow taking them, but obviously they can't take the big ones, and so they get left behind. But I think what you'll probably find is these cliffs you see up here, they have receded in my lifetime alone about 20 feet due to coastal erosion, and I suspect these stones will want to loft this position on top, maybe performing some sort of building or henge or something like that, and over time they've descended as the cliff has washed away. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what I like to do when I'm up for it, and I can get out and the wind's not too strong and the sun's out. So I brought with me also today a nice rose quartz sphere, and these things are good for the heart chakra, and they bring love into your life, and they certainly pacify sort of like the energy around. And I've brought it down today just to see if I can detect a difference in energy on the sarsen stone. This is on the beach. So I'm going to place this here up the beach, but above the quartz crystal. And I've also brought with me 2 rose quartz points. They're both 6-sided points, and one slightly darker than the other, but they're sort of like going to enhance the rose quartz through the crystal. So I'm going to place one here. I'm going to put one above, if I can get it to stand up straight. It's always difficult when it's not a flat surface to get them to stand, but you'll find a spot, and maybe that's the right spot for them. There we go. So if I just move that slightly so it's in, that's better. That's better. There we go. So what else have I brought? I've brought these. This is selenite, and this helps in a crystal grid to sort of like shape the energy or the intention you're trying to achieve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one piece between the rose quartz and the 6 pointers, and one there. Now that's I've got that in a straight line, and that's pointing at the moment sort of like north. And I'm just going to enhance the bottom of the rock with 2 bigger pieces of selenite. And the reason I wanted to do this today is just to show you a simple crystal grid on something meaningful, rather than just on the carpet in a house somewhere, so which is worthwhile doing. It's good to practice. But one of the things I've brought with me just to demonstrate what can happen when you do this is I've brought my tuning forks with me. Now I've got these Liberian forks, and as I strike them, I forgot my puck. I've left it at home, so I've had to bring a bit of wood off the beach just to bring down to strike them against. Nice bit of driftwood. And so I'm going to start off by striking the fork and see if you might be able to pick up any tone or any change in resonance through the mic. But what you can also do is you can feel it in your thumb and fingers when you strike them. If there's a change, you'll actually feel the resonance change. So as I strike that one, I'm going to bring it in slowly towards the point of this crystal. And I've actually done this once before, so I'm not actually expecting any change on this one, to be honest. And I'm right, there's no change whatsoever. There's nothing. But you'll hear the continuous ringing of that, and but I know what's going to happen because I've done it before. So I'm getting over a cold, so I'm still getting my voice back. Interesting. Nothing happening again, even when I come into the rose. But this is the frequency that makes the difference. You'll love this. This is brilliant. So if I strike this, as I come into the quartz, about 6 inches from it, there it is. There's the change. Not only can you hear it, you can feel it. And it always fascinates me is what's going on, what's happening, what is changing the resonance of this tuning fork when I come in close to this crystal. I don't know. If anybody out there knows, please share it with me, because I don't know. There's one other one I'm just going to strike with here so you can hear this. And as I come in, you probably can't hear it over the waves now. In fact, the tide's going to chase me off of here in a minute. I've only got about half hour at most. Interesting. So that's the sort of thing I'm covering in these videos. I hope you like what you see, and I'm going to be doing as many of these as I possibly can, and I really welcome any comments that you feel you need to make. Because obviously these subjects are sort of like right there on the fringe of what people sort of like know about and enjoy. So I'm going to sort of like take a couple of images to put in of the grid if you want to try and copy this in a place near you. And well, I'm going to leave you to it. So my name's JJ. If you like this sort of thing, you know what to do, and I will happily see you in the next video.